historical mugs and t-shirts and swag around here as well.
Yes. Actually, the thing I like about this one is my husband saw it said Twitterer of the year, and he whited it out, and it just says Twit.
Oh.
So,
Yikes!
I thought he was going to change it to winner of the year.
well, there you go. No,
he just hasn't finished yet. That's all.
there you go. I like it this way myself.
Wow, this is our biggest crowd yet. Inger, you drew a record crowd. I think this is what, our fourth or fifth one we've done, Megan. We're just kind of gaining the momentum.
Every week the party gets bigger. I love it. It shows you if you stick to something. Exactly. It's good. Hi, Tim. Welcome.
Hey,
nice to
thank
see you on video. It's Megan speaking. Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. How about you? Welcome. All right. What do you think, John? Should we kick off with a couple of ground rules and how things will work today?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess I can kick things off here, Megan.
Go for it.
Usually we start off with, first of all, we have a special guest, Inger Rarick, who's joining us from California. Thank you, Inger, for getting up a little bit early to join us to talk about all things account-based marketing. And I think you're, what, 4 or 5 weeks into your role at Sendoso, heading customer success?
Pretty much 4 weeks in. Yep.
Wow. Well, excellent. We got some people that are popping in here still soon, but usually the way we have been teeing this up, we're data driven. So we start off with a poll, last week's poll, and we kind of riff on that a little bit. And then we talk about a topic or two related to account-based marketing, open it up for your questions, and then conclude with any silver linings or resources that you've had for the week. Megan, did I get that right? Did I miss anything there?
Yeah,
I messed up. I said 4 weeks. I meant 4 months. I've been at
4 months. Oh, there you go.
4 months. All right. Well, congratulations. And just a reminder to everybody, you are welcome to leave your video on. We love seeing your smiling faces. We also welcome conversation either when you have an opportunity to ask questions live, or feel free to put things into chat. I appreciate that not everybody feels like going on video. So if you don't want to, no worries. If you do, you're very welcome. Oh, hello, Pam. Thanks for joining us. And we're just, we're again hoping to make this a good conversation, and Inger's got lots of great things to share with us too. So but again, it's your choice. If you don't want to go on video, no worries, and feel free to enter questions into chat if you prefer to do it that way, or just audio only. And we are recording the session. So if you prefer not to be recorded, we just say probably best to stay off video, and let us know too.
Yeah, good point on the record. You don't want to say anything that's confidential. So yeah. All right, let me pull up my screen. And so we're starting off with a poll. I assume everybody can see the poll here. Maybe just do a thumbs up if you can see the poll. Excellent. All right. So last week I asked the question, and very appropriate for this week, we're talking about Inger coming from Sendoso, a direct mail platform or an outreach platform. So the question that I asked on LinkedIn was around the effectiveness of direct mail or gifts in a prospecting or customer outreach scenario. As I was mentioning before we jumped on the call, this is actually one of the most, I've been running polls quite a bit for the last, 6 months or so. And I would say this is probably in the top 3 in terms of the number of votes. LinkedIn may have changed their algorithm too, but it also may seem like people are really interested in direct mail overall. But I found this interesting when we asked this question of the effectiveness, and why I found it interesting from my perspective, and Inger and Megan, I'd be curious about your perspective, but in our experience, we find that bottom of the funnel, and you can see my check mark here, is a little bit more effective with direct mail in terms of cost and outreach. So almost like pipeline acceleration, as opposed to net new meeting creation or pipeline generation, where it could be a lot more expensive to experiment there. So in our experience, we've seen more of the bottom of the funnel, but perhaps my experience is different from everybody else's, because I see a large percentage up here is top and mid of the funnel. But I don't know, Inger or Megan, if either of you have any thoughts on this.
It makes sense to me. I mean, one of our key use cases really is that top of funnel, right? Door openers, meeting close, people trying to SDR use case, trying to, leverage coffee cards, or other, fairly inexpensive gift cards to secure that meeting. I mean, the open rates on invitations for things like that go up significantly when you have a gift card included. So that makes sense to me.
Hey, Inger, a question for you. And full disclosure to this group, I had the pleasure of working with Inger in a past life where she led customer success and at the late great Engagio. And one of the things I thought you did really successfully there, Inger, was deploying direct mail for current customers, kind of as a welcome back or a thank you. Can you talk a little bit about how you put direct mail to work in that context?
Yeah, that's what's so great. It's got so many use cases. And part of why I joined Sendoso is the opportunity there. And one of the big use cases obviously is post sales, right? So really integrating that. I mean, I think today that differentiator for SaaS companies, everybody knows, is really that customer service, that customer experience that you're going to have. And again, evidence shows that people will pay more for that if they've got the right customer service. And really part of that is just that personalized approach, right? So being able to deliver a personalized approach, which includes gifting, different key parts of the journey, I think really makes a difference for customers all the way through the journey. I mean, we used it for, welcome kits. We used it for if escalation, we had, the idea, please bear with us, sending a bear or something, anything, that helps sort of, again, sort of personalize that experience for the customer.
I thought this was an interesting observation below here that Mark mentioned. And, full disclosure, Mark's on the marketing technology side and may be competing for similar dollars that any MarTech platform may be competing for. But I do think he has an interesting point about enterprises. Not all enterprises can accept gifts. And the way that we've advised others to get around this situation is more on the donation side, give corporate donations. Inger, do you guys have that kind of capability, or what are you seeing there in terms of, experiences?
Yeah. For the donations, absolutely. We have what's called Sendoso Choice. We get it actually as from our company, when everybody went remote, they send us a lunch card every Wednesday, which is nice. But you have the choice between lunch, a DoorDash, or donating your gift to a charity of your choice. I donate to my school often instead of the DoorDash. So yeah, and I understand the enterprise. One, sometimes, especially government and stuff, you have to be sensitive about, what they can and cannot accept. You also have to be sensitive about the type of gift, it's, even though wine and different, alcohol can't be, sent or received. So, you have to be thoughtful about it for sure. And, know your audience, of course.
Makes a ton of sense. And noticing Karen just references a book here that I've not read. I don't know if anybody is out in the audience has read that, but interesting comment that she's making here about the personalization and the approach. So yeah, it's interesting. Any other thoughts on this before we close, Megan?
No, I'd actually love to ask Inger a question kind of about her early, now that she's 4 months in at Sendoso and kind of thinking about her experience leading customer success teams, sort of building on this maybe, but perhaps moving a bit away from it. One of the things that we're seeing more and more in companies is that you have this requirement for customer success to work with marketing, and in particular, I think account-based marketing, because they're going to have a blend of new customers and existing customers. what is advice that you would offer to customer success leaders and marketing leaders, for that matter, who are trying to learn to work together? You know, what are some things that you think new leaders can do early in their tenure to make that relationship successful and productive?
Well, I think you and I were a great example of that, working together.
That was a loaded question, really.
Yeah, you know, what I think with any group, I mean, just that open dialogue and expectation setting and everything. I think you and I were great about, you know, the customer journey and where marketing can help with that. I don't want to call it air coverage, but sort of marketing can help with the overall sort of, you know, messaging that we do along the customer journey, while then the CSM team and the post-sales team can work a little bit more, you know, at the usage level of personalizing, right? Like if something, you know, A or B happens, or automating some of that, but really working closely with, you know, what is the messaging that we want our customers to feel about the company. You know, for Sendoso, we, you know, work closely. You know, we've created nurtures and things with our marketing team, especially on our SMB, what we call sort of our tech touch or scaled model, to assure that, again, the customers are getting the attention. Marketing is, you know, no one's better than helping with that messaging and making sure that we're hitting all the you know, those pillars. So, I mean, I think there's, and of course, customer advocacy. I mean, there's that loop, right? Because, you know, successful customers then help with marketing. And so we really have a good relationship with marketing.
I think it makes a huge difference. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say on the CSM front, and our experience with both Inger and Megan, we were a partner to Inger's efforts on the Engagio side. And you mentioned something about the CSM piece, and the CSM piece has that immediate touch point to the customer that sometimes even marketers on upsell or retention don't have a lot of visibility to. And it seemed like in your prior company, you instituted, because we work across a broad number of partners, your program with the CSM side was very innovative and almost kind of what we categorize as the right way of doing CSM touch management. Do you have any insight on how you set that program up, or the benefits or the value? I mean, outside looking in, we saw value when we were dealing with your customer base as part of the account-based marketing strategy.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly your question. I mean, first I'll say that a lot of the innovative part in working with you actually was great in our ability to onboard our customers and really have that partner that was a seamless partner with us along that journey. So it allowed us to scale and work with our customers throughout. So I think that was something that was a great partnership. As far as then are you referencing sort of the engagement model?
Right. The engagement model that the CSMs had, it seemed like that you guys had like a pretty aggressive or regular touch point or touch cadence with the customer. So it wasn't like you were waiting until the end of the renewal to have that touch cadence. You had that like a drumbeat. And
and that's what we're trying.
It's or every couple weeks, or it was really good. It was really tight compared to what we see elsewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's critical. And part of why I joined Sendoso is that they had a lot of the foundation built, but they were still operating, you know, a bit on their heels, right? A bit, you know, reactive to what was happening. And I knew that we could, I mean, again, when they had the bones and the foundation and stuff. So how do we really operationalize things and get ahead of this? So yeah, that's super important. And it's hard to do, right? Because you're dealing with your current quarter and renewals and firefighting and stuff. So how do you put in place that journey and really focus on what's going to move the needle, and what are your leading indicators, and what are things that are going to move the needle for the customer early on? We learned at Engagio early on, you know, customer enablement. I mean, if we weren't in there with our customers, helping them really understand the tool and use the tool early on. We also knew onboarding. That's why the partnership with you was so important. Onboarding, if they're not like in lockstep early on with onboarding and have come out of those onboarding engagements with a 5.0 CSAT score, you were trying to then play catch up. So really being early on in that onboarding experience, early on, and again, education, customer education, making sure that they are understanding the product and getting that early value really sets you up so that you're not at the end just fighting for those renewals and firefighting.
Yeah, Inger, and I'm gonna call out John. You made a great point in the chat. Shared outcomes measured with the common goal of revenue growth. I think one of the things that worked well for the partnership across the entire revenue team, I would say sales, marketing, customer success, and product for that matter, was the OKR process that we used too. I thought that was really effective, where we basically said, what are the big rocks the business wants to move? And then underneath that, for each of the functional areas that can make a contribution to that outcome, how do you break it down into specific actions and then measures by which you will know that thing happened? And we could all see sort of across the group how they were so interconnected. So I felt like that, and I think your team did a beautiful job of tracking, the actions that they took and then providing back the insight too. And did you find that helpful? Is that something you're going to carry forward?
I agree with you 100%. I thought
Yeah.
John Miller did a great job with that OKR. I mean, it allowed us to, we had a lot of big rocks to move. How do you stay focused? Focus was, and I've brought that over. I know that Sendoso does OKRs, but for my team, we do our own department OKRs this last quarter, because there's 1,000 things you can do, right? How do you stay focused on really what are the things that this quarter, next quarter are going, move the needle again with the things that are most important to the company? Is it retention? Is it, product development at that, delivering the next, best thing? Is it, what is it that's to allow, again, everybody and all the troops to kind of stay focused and not be off doing things that they think are good, but aren't really actually moving the needle for what we need to accomplish that quarter.
Yeah, for sure. Measurement can be your best friend in that case. I know a lot of people don't think you need to start with that, but I don't know. I think we found that it certainly helped to direct the team and make a meaningful impact on how what we did every day.
Well, yeah. And then you can celebrate at the end, right? You know what, if you accomplished, what you did and what you didn't do. I've been at places where the quarters go by and, there's numbers that you need to hit as far as retention and stuff like that. But, really what impact are you having? And I think the OKR, that process really did help us kind of celebrate the wins as well.
Yeah. Oh, Inger, I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's an interesting thing. For a lot of the folks on the phone, I suspect have teams that they lead, whether marketing, customer success, or other revenue functions. One of the things I think you do really well is think about ways to acknowledge and celebrate your team. Sort of thinking about the personalities in marketing and customer success, the kinds of people who gravitate towards those roles. What advice would you offer to this group about how to think about sort of a recognition process?
Yeah, I think it's super important. I'm challenged. I'd love the other people's input on this. I'm challenged with the remote work now and being able to have those celebrations and being able to have those gatherings. We do a lot online. We've done, we've got virtual events and things that we can do through Sendoso to help gather teams around, a special event or some, painting parties and things like that, which I think are great. We leverage a lot of cameo appearances and stuff to celebrate wins and to do shout outs and stuff, which are always fun. But I'd love other people's ideas. We just, without being together, it's really hard. We used to go to happy hours, right? And celebrate birthdays and anniversaries and wins and things like that. So it is a challenge. Again, I think, I don't want to, it's not a plug for direct mail, but I do think that we have to be creative in today's world, and how we do that.
Yeah. Well, I think you just, you teed up a nice opportunity to ask some questions. I just put into chat if folks have questions they want to ask or suggestions too on this topic or earlier ones, by all means, since we've got Inger and John and everybody else here ready to answer. What questions do folks have? And John, anything you wanted to bring into? I didn't mean to jump in there.
No, it would be a good time to open it up to questions. If nobody has questions, I can ask a question, but we'll give folks a chance if they have any direct questions.
John says he uses Hold on, I need to open the
Ah, how
chat.
does that work? Talk about that one, John, if you wouldn't mind. If you don't mind going live, we'd love to hear how you did that.
Absolutely. So I think, all of us just have a great human connection around, the times that we prepare meals, right, for ourselves, our families. And it's just a super authentic time to kind of get together. That's maybe one more step up from just the virtual happy hours, which are great, to enjoy the beverage of your choice. But just, again, kind of being cautious and setting the laptop outside next to the grill. And fortunately, we haven't had any incidents. But that's just a great way, for us to foster that communication, maybe have a half hour to just spend that time with each other, even though we're across country and in some cases, in another country. But that gives us a chance to kind of be around as if we were spending that time that we're missing now face to face.
Some people are grilling breakfast and other people are grilling dinner.
Yeah, I'm fortunate that I'm on the East Coast, so I get a chance to lead a little bit in the actual food prep. But I know I'm making everybody hungry on the West Coast.
Yeah, I like that. Actually, I'm in a dinner club with girlfriends that I've been in for 20 something years. And when COVID hit, we decided, and we meet once a month, and we decided, maybe it wasn't a good idea for us to get together, and we did it all virtual. We actually moved it to weekly. And it was, again, that I think you said it with the authentic and human connections that cooking food and socializing like that brings to the table.
And I do like the safety warning of do not leave your laptop near the grill. I'm glad you haven't had any incidents. Pam, you asked a good question. What things have we seen resonate during COVID in terms of the things that we're shipping to customers? And this is a great one, I think, for the whole group to answer. I'm sure we've all received or sent interesting things over the last few weeks. But Inger and John, I'd love to hear, maybe we'll start with you two, but Inger, are there some particular things that you've seen be really successful? And if you've got any data on that too, I'm sure we all love our data.
Yeah, I should have come maybe better with data. I'm happy to send that along. I know we have it at the company, but I mean, alcohol, during COVID, like
exactly. I've seen a lot of that.
And so we have there's tons of alcohol options and tasting options and things like that seem to do really well. Food options. One of my favorite is, I got a cozy blanket at some point just in the winter was kind of nice. I like the themed ideas. We've got so many themed ideas. Our customers are so creative with what they come up with. And I've got a collection of those ideas I'm happy to share after if anybody wants them as well. But plants and succulents and things that just made you feel kind of cozy at home, I think were some of the more popular gifts.
Speaking of home, how do you get around the home issue of the address? Like I know that there was a point in time, probably about a year or so ago, where that was a little bit challenging because everybody had the corporate addresses versus the home addresses. What are you seeing there strategy wise in terms of even the data and the data retention of home addresses? If you see that, you may not get involved in that level.
Yeah, the company pivoted pretty quickly when COVID hit, because we knew we were no longer shipping, like you said, at the corporate offices. So they implemented what was called address confirmation, which is, before basically saying, Pam is looking to send you a gift. Can you confirm your home address? We do not store this address or anything. It's used only for that shipping, and then it's destroyed or disappears. And so that was how we got it. It's pretty effective. In addition, we also coach our customers to, if it's a high value item, perhaps send, through Marketo or nurture ahead of time that, we're going to be sending you something. We'd love, so it's not just out of the blue, really, that ties it to the theme, something, really appreciate your time. So that then when they get the address confirmation requests, that they're comfortable responding to that. And I think, again, most people, especially in the tech world, have gone virtual and remote. And so they expect that. Certain industries you have to be sensitive to. You know, if you're in the security industry, their customers don't want to give out their home address, even though we say, you know, we destroy it and everything. So again, know your audience.
Makes sense. Makes sense. We're
Yeah.
just looking at time here. We probably want to wrap up with any resources or silver linings that come to mind. Megan, any resources come to mind?
Yeah, and for
that you think-
thanks, Christina, for joining us. We appreciate you being here, and I know folks have to drop. I'll share one, and I'll put a link into chat if I can get to it quickly enough. But actually, kind of speaking, Inger, about some of the things that you've been speaking about in terms of choosing which things to focus on from a customer success or a marketing perspective. You know, how do you choose what will move the needle most? I got to do an interview a week or so ago with Richard Owen of OCX Cognition, former CEO of Sapmetrics, where I used to work back in the day. And he talked a lot about kind of the importance and the impact of finding the few things that your company needs to focus on. And I thought the really important message out of that was the fact that it's often very few things that make a big difference, and that it all starts back in the sales cycle. So that if expectations are misset or promises are made that can't be kept during that selling process, there's really not a whole lot your customer success team. I mean, no cozy blanket or lovely plant is going to make up for a misset expectation. So, or even the best post-sale care, you're just gonna have to spend a lot more time fixing that. So I thought that was really interesting, sort of that holistic perspective on the predictors of customer success. So I'll send folks a link to that interview, but he had some good things to say there.
Yeah, I mean,
and I see,
more
John,
than
go ahead.
More the importance of marketing and CX alignment is that sales and CX alignment. You know, what's nice is that actually I sit under the sales organization now. And so,
interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, if they're not selling good deal, I mean, we all share the same goals. So, and we're all aligned that way. So I think that is, I mean, that is important. I'd love to see that article as well.
Does marketing fit under sales as well, or are they separate?
They are separate.
Wow. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, I just added another resource. I'm finding that LinkedIn has become the new telephone, meaning with everybody working from home right now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like on a daily basis, I'm getting spam like crazy on outreach via LinkedIn. And so trying to find resources about how to effectively use LinkedIn. That was one written up on Harvard Business Review by, I think he was an employee of LinkedIn, in terms of the effectiveness of LinkedIn email or InMail. It was kind of overlapping maybe a little bit with pre-COVID. So, you know, you have to kind of take the statistics with a grain of salt, but I do think that LinkedIn, in terms of its importance, has gone up an order of magnitude. And we talk a lot about account-based marketing. That definitely should be feathered in as part of your touch strategy. The risk is you kind of have one shot at LinkedIn. And if you alienate somebody on the other side, you burn that channel forever. So you got to be really thoughtful about that outreach.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a super important one, right? Now we're asking people to put their personal reputations on the line. Jocko van der Kooi, I know, who sent a couple of folks today. He did a shout out to that, because I think companies need to keep in mind, like, you may be asking people to compromise themselves long-term for a short-term reward for you. Is that fair? Is that right? You know, it's a very important question. And that's for marketing and for selling and customer success, for that matter, right? It has an impact on all the revenue functions. So I'm glad you brought that one up.
Cool.
Anyone else have a great resource they want to share? Oh, John, you got one. Or are you leaving? Oh, he had to go. All right, he was out of here. That was not a share.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know we are at the end of our time. John, you want to close things out for us?
Yeah, no, we really appreciate Inger, you making the time to share your experiences with us. This was a great 30 minutes. And next week, I think we have special guests from your old neck of the woods, Megan, right?
Yeah, we have Jay Gaines, who's going to come in and talk about an ABM strategy when you are trying to build a new category and build a new brand, and sort of, and it's an interesting challenge, right? To have a defined universe, but not be known in it. What do you do? So it should be a good discussion.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for
All right.
having me.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Inger. Thanks
Bye.
everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, sugar. I thought I
You're still streaming live.